And we are live once again. Welcome to another episode of BB Brains on week 5 of Big Brother 28, where we got to witness Chuck be evicted this week from a almost unanimous vote. And what led to this eviction? A lot of bullcrap, honestly. Tonight was there could have been some other crazy stuff that could have gone down. Some more shock faces like last week. But how did we get there? What led to this eviction? And my God, do we have some, should I say, smelly details, stinky details? I don't know. But we got some interesting things to talk about that occurred over the course of the week of Big Brother, on top of all of the stuff that wasn't shown on the show, because there is a fair amount that we actually need to discuss today. But my name is Thatdorrk, and start off the episode tonight. We're just gonna start off with how we did as always. We're gonna discuss how the episode started on Sunday, or rather, actually, this case, since we had Big Brother Unlocked, Friday. And for the news cycle, we didn't really get much information to work with, so just like to narrow it down a little. We got bits of like the boot aftermath, which was nice because again, the blind side that was last week on Lyric really shook up the house, changed the whole dynamics. Toolshed is dead. The red corner pretty much dead. So a lot of crazy stuff transpired with that. We had a Jason interview, which nothing special to really get at that. Another Devon's family segment, which I think maybe focus on other players other than Devon's maybe this time around, because we already had something already with that. We had some interviews, more of like Haley's HOH that we missed, with her like drinking and really being irritated with Lyric. We get to interview Lyric a little bit. We had the whole closed segment of the house, which was okay. We had people making fun of Haley's reaction, which they shouted out RHAP, which is always a nice thing. I love rap. They're a fun podcast group. We had the typical Big Brother like complaints, though this time it's from the fans' perspective, where it was just all the fans complaining on what's missing from the game, and it's like the usual spiel. We want the wheel, we want all this stuff. Why are we still doing have-nots? We should do food comps again. It's just like stuff like that. And I don't know if it's just them making fun of us, the fans, or them acknowledging what we're saying. I don't know. Could be a little bit of both. And they also showed that Mallory won the time capsule, as well as like the beginning parts of the wall competition, which Angela just immediately drops, which we all kind of knew was going to happen. So kicking it off into the Sunday night episode, we then get like more of the juicy bits of the aftermath of the eviction, where Khan was trying to figure out who voted Lyric out, and then everyone basically lying to Haley, just telling her, hey, I didn't vote that way. I didn't vote that way, blah, blah, blah. And just, you see Haley's reaction from it. She was just like, all just gobsmacked by it, because she's had a rough few weeks in the game. And this week, just even more rough for her. I would say the roughest of all weeks she's had. But hey, she gets to live another week. Maybe another rough week in the game. Who knows? But we see Dee like basically filling us in on what happened, where it's just how she flipped the house, basically approached Rick and Angela, then Barrett, to convince Taylor, Lala, and everyone else to get on the plan. Where Rick talked to Taylor would then convince Lala. We had a whole thing on that where it was like, there was like a fun bit where it's like Rick tells Taylor, it's like, we need to work for our numbers, and Taylor's like, who's we? And it's just like, she at least called him out on that. It's like, are you really working with her, or are you not? Like, come on. At least she's being blunt on that. But what was interesting, and what didn't make the edit, and it's something worth noting, is that Drew told Yash of the plan to take out Lyric, and Yash was against it. That's why Yash voted the way he did. But to keep the plan airtight, and I highly recommend this for anyone that does go on reality TV, if someone's against your plan, but you're still wanting to get that plan to go through, probably for the best to actually like fully cooperate by not having the plan exposed in some way, shape, or form. So basically, Drew was following Yash around and basically just had him like on lockdown so he wouldn't like blab to anyone else about the plan. So really it kind of worked out in that regard. It was really interesting. I'm kind of shocked they didn't have that as part of the story, but they barely include Yash in general into the story. I mean, now that Chuck is gone, I feel like Yash is also going to be in the sidelines because of everyone that's left in the game. I feel Yash is still finding his footing. I mean, he has some leeway in the game, but I feel like his leeway is kind of working against him at this point. But after that, we see Drew reveling in the flip because, I mean, why not? You got to keep your best friend Melody in the game, or flirtmance, whatever you want to call that. And we also got flashbacks of Lala telling Haley about the vote and Chuck crying about the blind side in front of Rick and Yash. And yeah, Chuck, I feel like has had like such a weird week where we finally got to see Chuck in the game as well as see him leave the game all in one go. Which was hilarious to say the least in that regard, because we barely got to see Chuck the entire game. And now that he's gone, it's like, all right, now who's going to be on the back burner in the edit? Because I do think it will be Yash compared to everyone else that has had more screen time as of recent. But after that, we got Chuck and Yash discussing about the flip, and they believe Kamu was the one that did it, and which is obviously wrong, But again, the whole red corner was all suspect on each other at that point, and Kamu at that point was fully aware that D and the other vets flipped. And again, what we saw this week in the episodes, and I think they gave a very good interpretation of it, especially with yesterday's episode, that D really got into Kamu's head to basically help him like go from going against her to working with her full time again. And we'll get into that in a moment. But again, I have to give credit due for D because she really turned this all around where it should have really blown up in her face with all the lying that she did. So after that, we got Chuck, Haley, and Dee talking about the vote, and they discuss Angela with Kamu walking in, where everyone's paranoid, and Kamu's essentially thinking that he's a free agent. He does not trust anyone, and if he wins HOH, he's just going to do his own thing, which I don't know how much I fully believe that, because had he won the HOH, I do think that likely I think he might have still kept the red corner in his back pocket, because why would he nominate them at this point? I think it's just more so he would probably target the vets, maybe target D, target Angela. I don't think he would do Devins, but maybe he'd do Barrett, maybe, or Lala or Taylor. I would say something of that combination, maybe Melody, but I don't know. I think it would just be any of that combination. Granted, I think all of that would be moot because Devins would likely use his power to put up probably someone like Haley or Chuck. So I don't know. Who knows how that could have gone? But anyway, we get into the wall comp competition, and obviously it was probably one of the more memorable ones, I'd say. Not because of the theme, because, who really remembers the themes of the wall comp? Because quite honestly, it's just like, all right, we're traveling back to when Bigfoot was discovered. All right, woo, what they do, But when we started the comp, like, and again, this was like live when we were watching this online, and oh my God, watching this live was like hell, because the starting time was supposed to be at like, I believe 1 a.m. Central Time for me. And I think it got pushed to like, oh, no. I think it was 11 p.m. Central, sorry. But then it got pushed to 11:30 p.m. Central. And it was like around that time that when the feeds actually came up of the competition. And I don't know, it was because they were just like trying to get everything ready for the Friday show, or like because of Angela dropping, who knows. But either way, wall comp started. And it was very interesting seeing the drop order, because after Angela dropped, sometime Oregon, splooshed and everything, Taylor drops first after Angela. And Taylor was kind of surprised by it, but I guess she just didn't have the arm strength. And then after her was Barrett, which I was kind of shocked. I thought with his like size, he might have actually done a little better, but I don't know. If you look at his arms, they are a little bit more on the linkier end, so I guess they kind of worked against him. And then after a little bit, Devon's dropped too, and I'm like, Devon's held on a lot longer than I expected him to. I wasn't expecting him to really hold on far for the wall comp. And then surprisingly, this person I thought was actually going to go far in that comp was D, which I was kind of flabbergasted by. I was not expecting D to really drop that fast because seeing her on Survivor and her endurance game, you would think that she actually had like a very strong advantage, but guess that wasn't the case. So after D dropping, we were like, oh, things are starting to look a little dicey here. Like everyone's like looking at the sides right now, like who's gonna be in power, what's gonna happen. And during that whole time that they were showing on the show, at the very least, Chuck was just like doing all this crazy stuff to keep him up. And I'm just like, bro, you are not gonna hold on, just drop at this point. But alas, it had to take Melody and then Mallory to drop back to back for him to follow after. And then I guess Yash slipped or just was adjusting himself or something, but it just didn't work and fell right after that. And then it just came down to True, Kamu, and Lala. And I was kind of shocked at how well Lala was doing. I was honestly expecting her to be one of the early boots. I knew she was a strong person, but I just didn't think that she would be strong enough to maintain herself on the wall. Why was I wrong on that? But after some time, Drew dropped and it was between Kamu and Lala. And when the way the comp was playing out live, you would immediately think like, oh yeah, Kamu's going to win because Lala was struggling. She was crying. Looked like she was about to drop. And then a few seconds before the winner was announced or whoever was going to drop, feeds cut. Goes to animals, and everyone in the world's like, what the hell, production, you're not going to show us. But I will say this, and I do appreciate the acquisition of them for the live feeds. Pluto TV, their whole social media team deserve all the praise in the Big Brother community because you got to see a post from them like sometime after the comp would have ended, and they basically, it's on the tip of my tongue on who won. And it was just basically them hitting that Lala won. And again, they've been doing this for a bit now. They basically like chimed us in regarding like the Rachel boot last year, chimed us in on a lot of other interesting stuff. So I had to very much appreciate Pluto TV for what they're doing with Big Brother as of late, and as well as just being like very much there for the live feeders. So respect there. And when the live feeds came up, Lord and behold, we found out that Lala won the HOH. And when we saw it live, it was like when the episode aired, seeing Kamu just like slip out of nowhere was kind of crazy. But the whole reaction to Lala winning, so emotional. That's such a memorable moment. Lala is definitely going to be like very well renowned for doing that win as like one of the oldest people to win the wall. And I got to give credit where credit's due. Like I did not think highly of her for those past few weeks going into this one, because again, I didn't think she had a shot to win any of these things. And then for her to actually come out and clutch this win, I mean, respect it, but yeah, Lala won the HOH, and basically the whole power structure of the house is now changed. Basically now. Because not only is the whole Toolshed Alliance essentially broken, Red Corner is looking to be a little iffy, and everything is just shifting sides now that Lala is in charge. And this could have been a weird week too, had Lala actually went with her intention of nominating Devins, where likely Taylor would have gone up in whoever's place, but neither here nor there on that. But yeah. And Devins noted after Lala winning that he was concerned because he did think that he would be the nominee. And had Taylor not really pushed her initiative on the HOH, likely could have been the case. But it all worked out there. We have Dee and Barrett are also like concerned where Lala is game wise, but note they had her with the vote. And again, it was like something that was very interesting with Lala's decisions this week in regards to targeting Barrett and initially too, like almost nominating Drew. Like in the nominations, you saw Drew all dressed up. He thought he was actually going on the block. Like at that time, Lala told him, she actually told him that he is going up. And then after some time later, the vote changed after Kamu basically threw the red corner under the bus to get Chuck and Haley on the block. And basically, Barrett will still stay on the block, but Drew was able to like stay off of it. And Drew was essentially blindsided at the nomination ceremony, all dressed up when really he didn't have to be. So again, another interesting thing that they just didn't include in the episodes, but you can only do so much. And with yesterday's episode too, it's like they really were feeling all the good stuff that they could. And with Sunday's episode, I think they had to do the same. I mean, everyone's going to watch the World Comp, so I don't blame them there with that. And that's always going to be a fun time. But after that, we get the BB time capsule segment where we see Mallory wins it, and it's just like awesome, great. And then she gets a punishment because the odds were against her. And womp womp there, But she at least definitely got the better end of the punishments because she got the Adam and Eve punishment and was just immediately like, yep, taking my girl Melody. And honestly, I think that was the right pick because in those instances, like, yeah, it might be better to pair up with someone that has a better strategic game. But if it was like someone like Dee or Devins or Angela, I think they would have resented Mallory on that, I would say, because with how they've been paranoid with everything with Drew and all that stuff, I think they probably would have been more paranoid with any of them picked for that twist. But honestly, Melody and Mallory had a fun 48 hours with that twist. Drew obviously loved that. And honestly, with all the TikToks, Instagrams, and everything that they posted of what they were doing with that costume, I think they took full advantage of it. And I wouldn't even call it a punishment. I think it was more of a reward. I think the only times it was like a debtor to them was probably when they went to the bathroom. That's probably it, I'd say. But I mean, hey, at least they took it in stride. After that segment, though, we get Taylor and Lala discussing who they want to nominate. And again, as I mentioned, Lala was initially thinking of nominating Rick, but Taylor wanted to turn that around and push it onto Haley, as well as likely thinking of Drew, Barrett, and Kamu because they are on the shadier end. And again, the way that Kamu played this week, I ranked him on the bottom. Like I was like dead serious. Like he would have been the next one gone. The fact that he turned his whole game around, backstabbed the red corner, and was able to really build up the numbers with the people that he needed to this week, which he did everything correct. He did everything that he needed to prop himself up in a better position in the game. And ultimately, I think he played this week perfectly. This was everything he needed to do to save himself. And with everything that played out, I mean, he's in a good position. He's still in a dangerous position, mind you, for certain people to win HOH, but he is still in a better position than most now. So after that conversation, Yash and Kamu are talking. Yash is basically like believing that Kamu didn't flip with their conversation. And then Taylor later joins, and after talking with him, he throws Chuck under the bus to start the whole like nomination thing to get the red corner on the block. And Taylor basically relays that to Lala. And again, that whole time with Chuck, there was a lot discussed between Chuck Taylor and Lala with the nominations. And Taylor and Lala were not going to nominate Chuck initially, really not going to need for him initially because of the best way to describe it is respect as well as, well, I wouldn't say that respect because he definitely did not respect them, but it's more so like mutual understanding of them not wanting to nominate someone of same race. I think that's what they were aiming at with that conversation. Obviously, I'm not the person that should divulge on that information because like I'm a white dude here. Like I don't think it's best for me to really go into much detail on that other than just saying that. Um, so if you all want opinions on that, I'm not the person to discuss on that one. Uh, but I understand where they were going from with it at the very least. Until until Chuck was basically thrown under the bus to them, and they're just like, okay, fuck that shit. We're just gonna nominate him because no, if you are not going to respect us and you really do not trust us, then why are we even trying to protect you in the first place? As you know, as we see in yesterday's episode, and even tonight, even like Chuck is just so horrible as a person when it comes to the game and when it comes to respecting people, let alone maybe respecting women. Again, I don't want to go too into detail of that, but I don't know. There's some actions from them that's like has you like look a little sideways. Um, but after that whole conversation, Lella and Taylor have, Cabo and Taylor start to talk, and he thinks that Haley and Chuck under us would be better for the whole house, and it would be better to do that than to do Drew, Barrett, and Haley, or Drew, Barrett, and whoever else. Which, especially when it comes to the nomination ceremony, where we saw Chuck, Haley, and Barrett on the block. And it's very interesting because Barrett like barely got anything in the episode, even though he was not one of the nominees. It was very evident though that he was going to be the safest this week going in because him being next to Chuck or Haley was a guaranteed like safe vote for him to stay no matter what. So I guess they didn't have really want to do much with him. We definitely get some more content with him for yesterday's episode, which we'll go into now. For the veto episode / the fight between Haley and Angela, which at this time, like watching the live feeds, it looks like Haley and Angela are kind of hashing it out. Haley, before the episode today, gave Angela like a parting birthday gift of sorts. It was like a Snickers bar or something that was like wrapped up for her as a means of like apologizing. They did hash it out earlier as well, so they might be on good terms now, especially now that Haley is on her own. So I think Angela and her might be on good terms again. Again, watching this without any audio is a little bit, what can you say there? But at the very least, right now, it's looking like they might be on good terms at the moment. I mean, they are looking like they're hashing it out. But again, we'll see how the HOH fares this week and see how that's all going to turn out with that. But yeah, yesterday's episode. It starts off with Chuck and Haley. They're basically blindsided by the nominations and think Lala's not playing well, which again, how dare. Like y'all had 3 of the easiest, or if Haley would say it, hardest weeks having full control of the game. And now that you're not in control and that someone else is playing the game that's not to your liking, especially when they nominate you, you assume they're playing a horrible. It's like the audacity. I mean, come on. But, you know, I mean, that's maybe part of the reason why they were casted. They, you know, Haley is someone that is so delusional that they truly do think that they are like Janelle Pierzina, which, come on, you're not Janelle. At least like in terms of like winning the comps. Yeah, if you win like all the POVs and everything, maybe there might be some talk. But let's really, you're no Janelle. You're not even close to Janelle status, at least not yet. And then Taylor joins them with Chuck venting about Lala. Taylor states how they're now humble to the cameras, which again, you would think, but as the week goes on and what we saw in the interviews tonight, Chuck still needs to be humbled. Bro is delusional. And basically she's reveling in how the 2 are nominated, and Taylor also alludes to them that Kamu is the back door when really that's not the case. And Taylor notes that Haley is the target, which we all kind of figured. After that, we got Kamu and Lala talking, where they celebrate him not being nominated. Again, Kama really built up his game this week to go into a higher position and really saved himself because he definitely did a lot of damage control and did it in a way to really take out all of his allies that were going to be targeted going to this week. And I truly do think he did play it very well. Then after that, we got Mallory reveling about Haley finally having a hard time in the game. And I love when you get like these dual confessionals. You rarely ever get them, but it's nice to see it with like the whole punishment costume and everything. And then we have a whole conversation with the vets where they're celebrating not being nommed again, while reveling with their alliances, powers, and Angela as they described it, which that was like a nice shade. And actually, speaking of shade too, like actually circling to the beginning of that episode where they were saying that it's like MMA versus AARP with Kamu and Lala, and I'm just like, ouch to Lala, that is rude. I was like, that was like out of pocket with that one, but I love that. That was a shady way to start the episode. But it also began the slow progression of Angela slowly losing her mind and just regretting her vote as everyone's just celebrating about lying and getting away with everything. So after that, we got Lala, Chuck, and Taylor talking, and Chuck is again upset about being nommed, and Lala says that he is in a sinking ship, that he needs to do what he can to get off of it. Where Chuck again has the audacity to then say that Lala isn't playing the game and that she is just so oblivious to the game, with Lala telling them, well, that's my strategy, to be oblivious, to have people think that I'm not playing the game well, which we'll give her maybe a little bit of grain of salt there, but let's be real here. But some of the stuff that transpired over the last few weeks, I would be so shocked that everything Lala said and did, it was strategy. Because I cannot believe I'm worth anything. Because that sounds like a load of BS for her to say like, oh yeah, that was my strategy to really just not know the game, say stuff inadvertently that would get my alliance members in trouble. It's like, I don't believe that, but we'll roll with it for right now. But yeah, it just does not look good for Chuck after in that segment. He just did not look good at all. He looked pretty horrible. And again, even with tonight and his interviews, he just comes off as so arrogant and so cocky. Like, bro, you are the fifth boot in this game, and you still think you're on the right? You still think that nominating Lala and Taylor was what's going to be best for your game? Bro, you are just a goner. So after that, we got more of the Adam and Eve punishment montage, and it's just like it's so funny. It's like you got to see bits and pieces of them like enjoying like an apple together, the bits that they were doing when they were filming stuff for the Instagram and everything, and they were just having a fun time. Yeah, they were like saying like, "All right, well, we're going to the bathroom together. Oh, we got to like make sure that Heather is good, has enough slack for us to sleep across from each other." But it very much showed like they did not have any time struggling together. They had a fun time doing this, and I think they just like had a blast trying to just do what they can. And I honestly think with this twist, I think it really solidified that likely Melody is the next one likely to win a time capsule power, and whatever that may entail for her, hopefully something good and not a punishment, but who knows? The odds are kind of even now. So maybe Melody might have a good chance. So after that, we got Dean Devins talking, and basically it's like Devins just like pushing D. It's like, you have the power. You have the power, don't you? And yeah, and as hey Bruce, what's up? As he coherently mentions, like, yeah, the award was for the people as well as everyone in the house for the punishment costume. And Lord knows if Melody gets a punishment costume next week and it's the unitard one, I feel like, okay, she's gonna have fun with that just as much as she did for the Adam and Eve one. Because I there's only so few times where people were upset with the unitard. Michelle from Big Brother 10 being the biggest of the bunch, but that's like a whole scenario with that one that led to that. But yeah, we got D and Devs talking, and the two are basically talking about the powers that may be in the game from the time capsule. And Devin's basically like telling her, like, look, I know you have a power because Mallory came out with a punishment. I thought she had it last week, but since she doesn't and it's this week, it has to be you. And she basically just tells him, like, yeah, it's my power. It's the BB bribe. And she tells him, and it's just like, it's a nothing burger power. Really, not much can go of it. The thing that is funny about it, though, and it is still shown later in the episode, but I feel like they're kind of doing it out of order. I want to say that D tells Kamu this first instead of Devins, and then later Devins. I might be thinking about that order wrong, but I know there might be some discrepancies with that. I don't know. I think they're just trying to work with what they got for the edit, but I think Kamu was the first one that she told. But either way, it's not really too relevant to the plot as of this season so far. After that, we got D, Angela, and Haley talking, and Haley approaches them about the vote again, and D is just kind of like pushing against it, just like, let's just move on. She leaves, and Haley's just turns to Angela, it's like, D is definitely one of them. And Angela again is just stewing in her head the build up of what's going to be later that fight, and she is just dying internally, lying to Haley, which is just, I will have to give the editors the credit's due because the build up to this fight is just a 10 out of 10. So after that, we got Haley and Kamu talking, and Haley and them are just talking about the vote again, and Haley thinks that she can not use the POV so that way to prove herself to her alliance. And this wasn't a legit conversation. I legit thought that she was just like BSing in that, because you hear people say like, oh, if I win the power veto, I'm not going to use it on myself. I think I'd be good. The fact that she actually confirmed that showed how delusional Haley is in this game, and why I'm so glad that she is in for another week, because we need delusional players like her to stay. Not ones like Chuck that are overconfident, think they know everything about the game, and hate everyone around her. I want someone like Haley who is delusional and hates people for the petty reasons, whereas Chuck was just like being a full-on delusional idiot and was just hating for petty delusional reasons. It sounds like the same thing, but there is differences to this. I promise you that. But Haley's just like one of those types of players that really thinks that they are in control of the game and whatever they say goes. And the fact that, again, Haley said, I had a rough 3 weeks to Melody and everyone last week when she was the HOH of all things. It's just something of a player I would like. Just like for example, like a Raven from Big Brother 19, who was so delusional to a point that even in her backyard interviews, that Rob from Rob Has a Podcast asked her how Paul's Kool-Aid was, and she legit answered it like an actual question. Where I'm just like, oh dear God, that's who I think Haley is. Just not lying about dying or anything like that. That's where I draw the line on that part. But after that, we got D, Lala, Devins, Angela, and Taylor talking. And D wants to come clean to Kamu because I think coming clean to Kamu right now would be better for her game, since Kamu is actually getting closer to Lala and Taylor, which I think was the correct call there. D has very much like burnt a lot of bridges in doing this flip, and she could have done a lot more today, because not only was she at burnt bridges last week with the red corner, she could have easily burnt bridges today with Lala and Taylor. Because had Chuck and Haley been the final nominees, there was a flip set up today by D that they were going to, no matter what, keep Haley over Chuck. So even in the scenario that it was Chuck versus Haley, Haley was going to stay. The only way Haley was going to leave is she was up against Barrett. And the fact that they came so close to that, they were just like a few bocce balls away. Oh my God. I don't know what would have been better for D's game, for the flip or not the flip. I think not doing the flip was probably better for the game, because I think we're at the point now where it's like it would be day 39 in Survivor, where D never got to experience because she played 26 days. But Devin's got to. He got to do day 38, which would have been his day today, where his last day in Survivor Edge of Extinction. It's getting to a point where you're seeing like the Survivor players are like checking out like Devon's is, like just chilling on a pool floaty all week, or just like doing things out of boredom like D is, flipping the vote time and time again. And I just don't know if this is so good for their game or so bad for it. I just don't know at this point, because they're still in such a strong position that I don't know. It's just, it looks like it still works, but I think it's just because of a testament to their social games. And I don't know if it's going to last, because as Devin's pointed out this week to D, no matter what in these coming weeks, he is going to use this Diamond Power veto, whether it's like something that will benefit his game or not at all. And I think that is horrible to hear, but it is so expected of Rick Devens, because he cannot stop himself from doing something for A, camera time, and B, because it's something that will be different. And I hope it's something better for strategic reasons, because if not, he's gone. He's so gone the week after, because whatever he could do with that, and likely if he was to use it, I can see him putting up someone like Drew, which could easily backfire, because Drew did kill it at the last blockbuster comp. Who says he can't do it again? I feel like backdooring in this new age of Big Brother with the blockbuster is next to impossible if someone like a Drew, or if like in previous seasons like a Tucker could win out these blockbuster comps time and time again. So I don't know if Rick is going to be really risky to do this without any regard for his or anyone else's game. I don't know. I mean, I think you're better off having D with like more useless power than him, like sitting on something to use like that. That's how I feel there. But after that whole conversation, you see again Angela stewing. She's just like, I need to tell her. I need to tell Haley. And then next clip is just Angela getting ready for her day. She is just ready to say it to Haley. And in the bathroom, she approaches Haley and basically tells her, "It was me. I flipped the vote. I'm so sorry I lied to you, Haley." And she's just like a little distraught with it. She's a little bit upset. And she's like, I get it. Can you just tell me why? And like, it was just like, she was like very much flabbergasted. Because like, again, she really did see Angela as her number one. And I don't know. I think maybe after what's being said and done on the feeds, especially today and yesterday, maybe they might have something for Kittle again. Again, Haley doesn't have much for options for allies at this point, so might as well have Angela. Granted, Angela is not much for competitions, at least this season, compared to the last one she was on. But, you know, season's still young in that regard. But Haley is very hurt by this. And when she's later talking to Chuck, it then starts to build up. And she's then feeling like very much more angry about the whole situation, with Chuck being very much angry and shocked that it was Angela. And then on the flip side, we got D and Angela talking, and Angela basically tells D, I had to tell her. Which D is like, Angela, why? And again, kudos to D, because someone of her social caliber able to really work Angela and able to work around all the damage Angela does, it needs to be studied. It's so well kept, because again, it's a testament to why she won Survivor 45 and why she's able to work around chaos so well. And even though she was mad at Angela, she's like, okay, I just got to go to Kamu and tell him all of this, which again, you know, where we see later on in the episode that she does. And it kind of works out to her benefit, actually. So then after that, we then get more of the conversation where Haley then enters back to the bathroom to approach Angela. And she says, you know what pisses me off? The fact that you shouted out my family when you did all that. And it just like added more fuel to the fire that on that whole, like the whole setup, where it's just Angela's like, I know Haley, I just had to do it for my conscience. I had to do it for my conscience. And it's like, I don't want you to tell Chuck on this. And she's just like, I don't know what to do anymore. I just blah, blah, blah. And she leaves the room where Chuck then enters and is like immediately disappointed and tells Angela how he's mad at her. And she's like, I knew she told you. I knew she told you. It's so good. Like, and what sucks though about this though, it's like you get to see bits and pieces of this live, but when it came to the actual fight, we got to see practically none of it. It's like Angela about to shout and then cuts the cameras on that. I'm like, no, not again. It's like Lisa and Angela all over again from 26. It's like, why are y'all cutting these fights with Angela? Oh my god, though. I will say though, backstabbing someone and shouting out their family is cold. I will say, if I was ever on BB, I would love to do that because honestly, I would be that kind of petty. It makes for fun content, and honestly, I'm glad Angela did it. But obviously, it didn't bode well with her over the course of time. But it was still fun to watch regardless, and it's fun seeing it with two people that you know are going to fight that are in that delusional sphere of things that is an Angela and a Haley. And I really love that it's like the two finally clashing. It's just very interesting that they're also just like so close on top of that. So after that, we get Angela and Kamu, where she is just crying in his arms and reveals that she flipped. And he's just like, he feels vindicated in what he did and that it would work out more for him than it would for her. When, in all honesty, like, even though it wasn't shown in the episodes, you have people like Melody and Mallory on Angela's side actually openly telling her that they're with her with how everything went down with Haley, and other people really much being on Angela's side. So I feel like it still kind of worked out to Angela's benefit. I feel like Angela's crazy really ostracized her in 26, whereas this time around it's actually benefiting her. It was just so weird to say, but I don't know. It's like Angela's in like such a solid position now because how she's like kind of blowing up on things, being delusional on things, but still working to her advantage with it. I don't know. It's just such an interesting case to study as a Big Brother player, because if you see her in one season where she struggled so much because of how she was acting in 26, but then see her kind of doing the same this time around, yet benefiting from it, is such an interesting contrast. And you just never know what a different case scenario could be for any returning Big Brother players, or if any player from a previous season could have played in a different scenario. It's very interesting to see. But after that, we get the veto picks, and we get Chuck, who picked Kamu to compete in the competition, and D, picked by Lala, to compete. And again, so much of this week stems back to Chuck and his inability to read the room and to really just shoot himself in the foot time and time again. When it came to his conversations with Lala and Taylor, how he picked Kamu for the veto, how he assumed Kamu would use the veto on him, and how he just thought he had this game in the bag when really he was just dead from the start. Oh my God, it's just crazy. But after that, we get D and Kamu talking. She basically unloads on him why she flipped and everything. And it came from Kamu basically saying, I hate you, I want you out, basically openly, to I will love to work with you again. I would love to go far with you. And D, and she later even like states it to the cameras on the live feeds, she tells Kamu about her power, which again, I don't think it's like the most noteworthy power to tell anyone about. It's a bribe. It's not going to do much. This is like chump change in the Big Brother house. $5,000 you could probably get in like a future Yankee swap competition or something. And, you know, Kamu was reveling in that, you know, information, know that she trusts him. D later says later down the line, it's like, maybe I shouldn't have told him that, but it was a heat of the moment type of thing. Overall, though, you could tell that Kamu trusts her again. D feels good with Kamu. So kind of worked out. And it really works out because after that, we get D, Kamu, Haley, and Chuck discussing the whole Angela situation. And Dee is just not giving a hell about it. But then Kamu wants to stir the pot, and it's just like, I'm gonna grab Yash and Angela to bring into the situation, discuss more about the vote. And again, the whole situation is so funny. And Angela has some points, which is like, if we're talking about this Red Quarter Alliance, why is Yash up here? Which is very true. And she just brings up why she lied, felt bad, and then Haley and Chuck are basically going into her. Now, as Kamu grabbed Yash and Angela and all this, Lala follows them upstairs and is basically waiting outside the gym room, just listening in this entire time. And again, one of my favorite moments, like post that fight, was not in the episode, because when like Angela's crying and being consoled by Lala in the HOH room, she's like saying like, I doubt this is going to make it to the air because it's just bleep, 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 bleep. And Lala says, oh, well, to that. And I'm just like, Lala has some funny one-liners, because like I still think back to how she was just like calling for D the other day when like Bear was talking about his Spanish and stuff. She's like D like that type of thing. It's so funny to watch that. I feel like Lala has very fun expressions and is a very fun like talker at times. And I was very happy with how she was like consoling Angela. And I think that kind of solidifies more about that all women's alliance that the two have together with Dee and Taylor. Now, granted, is it like the most real alliance? Not really, but at least it's like kind of shows that they are for each other at this point. But yeah, we get the whole conversation that led to the fight where Haley calls Angela for, lying to her face, the votes and everything. And then she brings up the trust your gut comment about Dee in the vote, where that just sets Angela off and she just goes in on Haley. How dare you, you bitch? How dare? And we find out from Haley, like, she made it up, but she was just like, I'm just bringing this into the moment, which kudos to you, Haley. Thank you for doing this, because you just gave us some good TV with that. And again, this whole thing works in Angela's favor, but again, it helps that Haley's on the bottom right now. It helps that people hate Haley. I feel like if it was someone more liked, maybe that would have been a different story. But the fact that it is Haley, the fact that Haley was the initial target this week, and the fact that, this whole fight stems from Kamu stirring the pot to bring Angela up to have her and Haley essentially fight, kind of just worked in her favor, funnily. It's so weird how the Big Brother house could work to that. But yeah, Lala comes in, she drags Angela out of the room, and we later see Lala and Haley talking in the kitchen, which almost led to another fight too, where Lala was just telling Haley that maybe she should apologize and that, keep it respectful, where it's like, then Haley's like, well, I'm going to respectfully leave. And again, that could have been a whole fight right there, because you could tell Lala was ready to go in on Haley on that. This was like such a good week following after Haley's HOH week drama. This was like a perfect week of Big Brother, where you had the wall count, you had all these fights, you had a potential another flip in the works, and all these new alliances forming. This is like quintessential Big Brother this week, and I am for it all the way through. And this was like almost the entire first hour of the episode, with another half hour left, which we then finally get to the Power of Veto competition, where it is the competition from last year that Keanu won, where Kamu brings up after winning the competition with like, do you have a prompt? Which I think after this year, it's like, okay, bring it up once, you're good. I don't think we have to bring it up again, because then you're just kind of like, beating a dead horse at that point. But yeah, it was basically the Squid Games comp where you have to memorize going back and forth, where the fastest person in the first round gets the bye going to the final round. And it comes down to Kamu and Barrett, where Barrett was one tile away from winning, which again, Barrett was just a few balls away from winning the blockbuster. I feel like Barrett is closely due for a win, because this guy is so close to winning competition. Same with Mallory. I feel like someone from the later named FAP Alliance, which we'll talk about in a sec, is going to essentially, win maybe the next HOH for all we know. I mean, right now, feeds are still going. HOH Cup hasn't started yet, so give it a little bit of time there. But also, just a note from that competition, Barrett boy, you are down bad for D, and I get it. It is D, and I understand that, but keep your head up here. Like, as much as you have feelings for her, I doubt she has the same feelings for you, because seeing the men that she has been with over the years is like, I don't think you're in her realm of interests. You're no Johnny Bananas, I'm sorry to say. So after the whole veto competition win, we get Kamu and Lala talking, and he tells her he's not going to use the veto. He's essentially basically like he is done with Haley and Chuck, and Yash joins in to have them all work together and not use the veto. And then after that, we just see the punishment ending for Melody and Mallory. So many similar names this season. Oh, it's killing me. And they celebrate. It's like a little lackluster with how they ended it, but no, whatever. Again, they have fun with it. Not much you can really do there, especially if it's like the one that like Brendan and Brittany had. That's a tether. It's like you were like waiting to see more content of, because it's just like you to know that two hated each other when they were doing that. But we were not going to see anything like that coming from those two. But I will say that's coming from those two, along with Drew and Barrett, is that we finally, and I cannot believe it is actually made the edit, and it's actually an officially named alliance. We have the FAP alliance. Oh my God. Like, initially, the alliance name was called Fuck Ass People. That's the name they were going for. But obviously, they had to keep it family friendly. And to say that it's like for American people or for awesome people, whatever they were trying to go with that, it's like they're just trying to do what they can. But even then, for it to be named FAP of all things, is just like, I can't believe they got away with it. There's been maybe some raunchier names in the Big Brother house over the years, but the fact that like it got over the censors and all that, I'm like, okay, cool. We got a FAP alliance. I do wish that they would have shown like the little rock ceremony that they had the other night, because that was actually pretty cool. And seeing Mallory talk about how she had like a friendship, a cult of sorts. And it's like, the more you learn about Mallory, the more you're just like, I understand, like, okay, now I see why they brought you onto the show, because you are just a bottle of fun. And especially these last few nights. I hope we get to see him on a segment Sunday or maybe in the future. But Mallory was like doing these like pretend simulation stuff where like everyone's like on a bus or a plane and she's like the driver of it, and it's just chaos left and right. And even like the camera people are enjoying it because they're shaking the cameras too. So hopefully they'll do a segment of that soon, because again, fun stuff there for Mallory and fun stuff from this entire alliance. I love the Fat Four. And I'm going to have so much fun saying that name as much as I can until this alliance is dead. But I'm all for this alliance. I honestly want this alliance to be a Final Four. I love all four of them. Like, say what you want about Barrett being a rat or Drew being a rat. I do enjoy the four together as a foursome, and I think they're very fun. But after that, we get the whole red corner race of vets, and they're basically discussing the veto, and Kamu is basically not sure on what he wants to do with it. Likely won't use it, which is starting to really get eye from Chuck and Haley, who are kind of pissed off about that, and are just like, what the hell, Kamu? I thought we were an alliance. And it's just very clear that Kamu's not with them anymore, and it's very much clear that those two are on their own. And when it came to the veto ceremony, Kamu doesn't use the veto, and those two are on a block next to Barrett. And again, we barely got to see Barrett the entire episode, but again, staying next to Chuck and Haley, it's like, yeah, you're kind of like guaranteed safe no matter what. So then we get into tonight's episode, and honestly, compared to yesterday's, this is like kind of like a little blasé, but again, kind of hard episode to follow after yesterday's. So with this alliance, with this episode, we started off with Melody, Drew, and Taylor, where they celebrate the downfall of Haley and Chuck with the intention of taking out Haley. And then following after that, Devins and Yash are celebrating being safe, with Devins kind of like trying to see if like maybe he could start pushing more for Haley to stay, because they think he sees more value than her than he does in Chuck. And then after that, we see Mallory and Barrett discussing the same. This was a lot of the same conversations that were done this week about, well, maybe we should keep Mallory, but like keep Haley, but not anyone's really pushing for it until this morning where Dee was trying to do the flip and Haley was going to be safe no matter what. So after that, we get Chuck and Taylor talking, and again, the goal of this dude, Taylor's given him information on how to campaign, and he is just, it's going from one ear and out the other. It's just not giving it all. And she's basically telling him, it's like, this is like BB for dummies, but this guy is even a bigger dummy. Which, I mean, kind of true there. And then we got Devins and Barrett talking with them again, discussing that, maybe we should take out Chuck over Haley this week if the option is there, because it would benefit our games. And again, I feel like even the producers knew that they want to keep Haley, even though they hate on Haley. You know, I mean, they call her thug and just like really rip on her in the edits, but they know she's like at least entertaining, like compared to Chuck. But yeah, essentially, it's basically setting up that like, hey, if Chuck doesn't win this competition, he's a goner. So then after that, we get to see Hibachi Angela segment where she's just like, you know, doing her thing with the knives, and we literally had almost almost relived Big Brother 2 with the whole knife situation, with Lala almost getting knifed by Angela because of her just playing around with that. Like that would have been so crazy if that actually happened, if something bad happened like that. Because holy hell, if they barely have much for silverware then, with how everything played out from Big Brother 2, God knows what they're going to give them going into Big Brother 29 onward. You know, it's not going to be pretty with that, but at least everyone was okay. So then after that, we get like a segment with Fap, Lala, and Yash, and they're discussing, you know, what they're going to do for the future of the game. And Lala brings up targeting the vets, mainly Devins. And Drew and Barrett take this in, and basically Barrett is going to rap out on her, where she then tells Dee and then later Angela and Devins. And basically, like they're ready to just take the aim for the next target to Lala at this point, which I think it's like the right call. Right call for the veterans. I just don't think it's going to be the right call for Fap, because they're aiming more for Kamu right now. But we'll see how that's going to go. But after that, we get the blockbuster competition. It's the competition where you're just trying to roll your balls up to a platform and stay on there, and you have to get all of them up there before you have to knock them all down. And Chuck did horrible. He did not do well. Haley just kept on hitting a lot of her balls off, but still, despite all of that, came up on top to win, with Barrett just barely behind her. And when Haley wins, I don't know if it's someone from the audience or if it was just Chuck, but someone was screaming super loud. And I'm just like, Chuck, is that you? Because if so, like, I just like think of like that meme of like that woman that's just like bouncing up and down in the courtroom. She's like, yeah. And like the judge is like, why are you celebrating? And it's like, that's what I'm just like thinking with Chuck in that situation. I don't know if it was him, but if it was, my God, dude, like, have some awareness. But yeah, so we get to the eviction, and everyone's also like planning this earlier, which was nice that sometimes they do this. They all dressed up in pajamas, you know, just to chill out and have like a little bit of fun for the live show. And while everyone's chilling in their pajamas, voting out Chuck, you get to see Barrett try to shoot a shot at Haley in some way, shape, or form, and Julie calls him out on it, which is just like, bruh. But yeah, so we get to the votes. Chuck is evicted 9-1. Haley's the only vote to, you know, vote against Barrett. Kind of expected it. And then the interview, holy hell. Chuck, bro, like he is just like so horrible at his interview. He's still doubling down on how horrible Lala and Taylor are, how he'd vote for them and everything. And how he'd take them out as an HOH. And it's just like, good riddance. Goodbye, dude. You are just useless to this game. just as much as your body odor. Because I feel like part of the reason why he was voted out today too, and this has been mentioned through the past few days, bro does not know how to manscape, let alone bro is horrible at keeping himself clean, apparently. Because you got people like Taylor and Haley bringing it up to him publicly, and he's still not aware of it. And it's just, ugh, give this guy a razor, people. Lordy. But glad he's gone. His aroma's probably going to linger for another week, but hey, he's gone. So that's the week of Big Brother. We almost had a flip tonight. Who knows what's going to happen going to the HOH comp tonight? And honestly, with how the structure of the game is looking right now, anyone can still be a target. Like, some more likelier than others, but that's just how it is right now. So now that we concluded what happened over the week, I do have my rankings. And interestingly, these are going to be some interesting. There's some unique rankings that I got for this week, because going into this week's HOH is going to make such a big difference to how the structure of the house is going to play out because of all these factions that are forming. I mean, we have Haley, who's on her own. We have Chuck. Oh, wait, well, Chuck was out. Sorry. Yash, he's in a few alliances. We have the Vets group. We have Kamu kind of like getting in with Lala and Taylor. We have the FAP alliance. We have still Crossroads, Crossroads. I don't know. There's a lot of options that are like out there, and we're gonna have to see how this is gonna play out. But starting with our rankings, obviously working our way up from the bottom to the top. With our first 5 evictees, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Ashley, Rome, Jason, Lyric, Chuck as a recent. So from 12 onward, starting from the bottom, it's Haley. There's no way Haley is going to recover still. Everyone still wants to take her out, which is understandable. No one likes her. She doesn't do much for anyone's game. She's very bitter. She's very much bratty. She doesn't really bode well with people. She's had plenty of fights with people, whether small or big. So it's like she's not really vibing well with the house. So she has to be on the bottom. Sorry, there's no way to change it. If she wins the HOH, maybe some things could change. But as of right now, Haley's just like likely going to be the next one on the block and likely the next one to be a target. After her, it took me a lot of back and forth from thinking who would be at the 11th spot. But ultimately, I decided to put that on Yash. And here's my reasoning. I do think Yash is working himself into a good position in the house. That being said, a lot of alliances that he's in are basically fake alliances. I don't see the loyalties with that alliance. I don't see much working with that alliance. I see Yash as one of the potential nominees this week, whether it's like as a backup target or as just a pawn. Either way, though, I don't see much progress coming from him at this time, especially when he was siding with Lala in front of Drew and Barrett that he was going to take out the Vets. So clearly his alliance that he has with some of the Vets right now and the guys, I don't think it's going to work to his favor. So ultimately, I think he is in a precarious position. If Haley is not the target and it's someone like a D or a Devins or an Angela were to win HOH, I can easily see him being as a potential target or as just a potential nom in general. After him, I have at number 10, Lala. As much as I loved Lala winning her HOH, being in control this week, it is very much certain that the HOH was controlled by Taylor this week. 100%. And the fact that Lala has been openly talking about targeting the veterans in front of so many people, it is putting her in a position where she could be a target. And if it's not Haley, that would be the likely target. I could see her be a backup target. Because a lot of people are going to look at her with her wall win now and say, she could win endurance comps. She could likely do another win like that. So who knows? Because she says she feigns ignorance for her game actions, but let's be real here. A lot of it is blunders from her end. So I can really see her putting herself in a dangerous spot. So I have her at 10 for right now. After her at 9 is Melody. I do love Melody. I really want her to gain some rankings in this house, and I do like that she's in the FAP alliance, but I still don't think she's gaining much traction with anyone in the house other than her main alliance that is FAP. And unfortunately, at this time, it's just not much working for her in that regard. I need her to make more alliances. I need her to build more bonds, but she's not doing that right now. So, as much as I want to rank her higher, I had to rank her at 9 at the moment. And then at 8, same goes for Mallory. Mallory's in that same boat. I just think she has a better shot at winning competition. That's why I have her slightly above her. And then at 7, I have Drew. Now, Drew has dropped off for me a little bit. Drew is like ratting his FAP Alliance out to the vets for no reason. He is ratting out the stuff that is being told to him for no reason other than blind loyalty to the vets. And my problem with that is the girls from FAP are aware of this and are getting to a point where they just can't trust Drew. And if it gets to that point, I can see them easily turning on Drew, and he's putting himself into that awkward position. If he's nominated, I can see him be a target. But if he's not, I can at least know that he's going to be in some form of control of the game if someone from FAP was to win HOH. It's just very wishy-washy with his position. And then at 6, I have Kamu. Now, Kamu really salvaged his game this week. He did a lot to salvage it. He backstabbed his red quarter. He did a lot of social bonds with Taylor and Lala to get him into a good position. He now knows D has a power. He has a lot of going for him. My reasoning, though, at having him at 6 compared to the other 5 is that he is still a likely target for FAP, a likely target for potentially Haley, and he is still has odds against him to go in certain scenarios. So I really do think that even though he salvaged parts of his game, he didn't salvage it enough to not be like a target for everyone, because there are still people that do not like him, and they are very vocal about it. And I feel like if anyone from FAP was to win HOH, he is 100% going on the block. And again, if he's not next to Haley and if he's next to like a Yash, for example, it could go 50-50 with him. And who knows how that vote might go. They might just do it, like the vets might just take out Kamu, and it means to like take out a number for Lala and Taylor. So that's where I see that there. And at 5, I got Barrett. Now, Barrett for me, I think has a little more higher appeal than Drew, mainly because, yes, he's also doing the ratting, but he's doing it in a way where he's actually protecting his allies like Drew, as he did tonight's episode. And I think that was the right call for him, because he's at least doing the right stuff to still being good with the veterans, but also doing enough to still being good with FAP. And I think he's doing the right stuff there. Is he like being a very blasé player right now? Yes. Is he really just not doing much in the game? Also, yes. But a lot of those players tend to go far, and I think he's doing everything right at this time. So ultimately, that's why I have him at 5. He's not a power player by any means, but he's definitely in a good position for sure. And then at 4, I have Devins. Now, Devins to me is going down more than up, and I'm saying this because he is willing to sacrifice his game to play an advantage for no reason. For one, he's taken a real backlog of this game this week, because all he was doing was really floating on like that pool floating in the backyard, not doing much socially, not doing much strategically. And really, once again, D was the catalyst when it came to the flip today, or almost flip rather. And I feel like if he's taken more of a back seat in this game, there is a good chance that he might be losing his power. And if he loses power, especially when it comes to Drew and Barrett, he is likely going to be in so much trouble, because you've got people already wanting to target him over D and Angela. And yeah, he can play his power to save himself, but he can only do it once. And that is even if he does it on himself. Because if he does it on D or Angela, if they're next to him, and if he doesn't win a blockbuster, he's gone. He is the next one gone. So I don't know about that. And at 3, I got Taylor. Taylor ran this whole HOH this week. She basically ran Lala's HOH. She did so much in her power this week to set up the vets for failure. She did so much in power to make some new allegiances to her. And she's in such a strong position right now that even if she was like on the block next to Lala, I can see scenarios where she could potentially stay over Lala. But we will see how that plays out. I just say she's playing very well. And then that two is Angela. Now, again, crazy thing to say. Angela at 2 of all people? What the hell, Kyle? I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Angela is in a position where people want to take her because A, they know they can beat her. B, even though she had these fights with Haley and everything this week, everyone's been on her side. Everyone is on Angela's side and trusts her and still likes her and would still keep her over other people. To me, Angela is a quintessential GOAT, likely to be taken to the end. But that GOAT can also have some power plays at their arsenal because they can win competitions. I've seen her win them in 26. I could see her doing it again now. It's just a matter of her doing it and what she can do with it. If she can win an HOH and some POVs, that GOAT status might go from like a GOAT that loses to the GOAT. So that's my opinion on Angela. Say whatever you want there on that, but that's how I see it. And number 1 is D. I mean, I feel like D is just in the best position at every point of this game. There's nothing you can't say about her that is like not going to be lower than her being the top player. She is in full control of the game. She has full control of the players. She almost did another flip again this week. And again, she is in such a strong position that no one's going to vote her out. Me, I don't, and it's going to be very hard to nominate her because of that. So, I don't know. But she's in such a strong position right now that I think she's just going to really steamroll unless someone else does something. But those are my rankings for this week. Going into this HOH tonight, it is going to be a free-for-all because I do not know what's going to happen with who wins HOH because, quite honestly, only this week determined the trajectory of the game. I feel like tonight might also as well. Because now that everything has formed from the aftermath of that blindside, it's time to see if anything holds from it. And that is going to be the most interesting thing to see play out going into week 6. But that is going to be for the future for us to find out and for me to talk about. So my name is Kyle from the BB Brains. I hope you all enjoyed watching tonight's episode, and I'll see you again another time.